Hello everybody, welcome to this special presentation. Today we have the honor to host Mr. Jean-Marc Lacoste, CEO of Monarques Resources. The company is involved in the gold sector in Val d'Or. So Mr. Lacoste is going to tell us why you should consider his company as your next investment. So Mr. Lacoste, thank you for coming by.
It's a pleasure.
Excellent. Mr. Lacoste, let's talk first of all about the Simcar project. I know you just did a 8,000 meter drilling campaign on the Simcar project. When you came in October 2013, you announced that. So what about the results of the 43-101 report? Why were they delayed, and do you intend to publish a report on the Simcar project soon?
Yeah, the report of the Simcar project will be published. We started the drilling in the fall, and it was one of our conditions to acquire the project. We had to spend over close to $1 million in drilling. So we did. We released all the results, and in the middle of the results of the property, we finalized another acquisition, which is the Quanah property, and that took most of our interest towards the end of the spring, thus putting the 43-101 estimate a little bit further down the road. With the kind of markets we have right now in the junior, we have to be very careful not to go ahead and make some big spending, especially when you're in an acquisition mode. Buying the 250,000 ounces in Quanah for less than $1 an ounce was more important than spending money and trying to do an update on the 43-101 on Simcar. But it's still on our project, and that's the reason why we had certain delays on that front. But it came at a good price. We ended up buying one of the most promising mine in Val d'Or in the coming years.
Okay. With the drilling that you did in the Simcar project here, I know you have an option you can exercise an option to acquire all the property. So far with the drilling results that you've collected, I know there were some silver that you also found in the Simcar project. All those results confirm you that maybe that could be an option I can exercise to acquire the Simcar property, 100% of it.
We actually have this. We have actually had over the last few weeks some discussion about that. We own now of Simcar, the Simcar property. We own it 57%, and the partner has 43%. So we did have discussions because we know over the next couple $100,000 that we will be spending over the summer, we will automatically earn close to 100%. So we need about 800,000 more to be spent in total. But we are currently having discussions with them and trying to figure out a way that we could actually move faster in owning 100% of Simcar.
Okay. Now let's talk with the Quanah project here. This is the main news that came out recently. 100% of the project was acquired. We also know that there was a preliminary economic assessment that was done in the project. So what was the strategy in acquiring this project in particular?
Well, the strategy is, first of all, this comes to the end of 13 acquisitions we made in the last year. So I would say this is like the cherry on top of the cake here, because basically this property in itself has got 250,000 ounces measured and indicated and inferred, that at this point we consider historical data because we just bought it, so we need to have a rubber stamp for 43-101 that will confirm all this, but we're very confident about this resource. It was crucial for us because it's one of those projects that is so close to being in production that we know that a company like us will actually, once they bring a project like this to life, will have less stress to go back to the markets and try to get some money when you generate some income yourself. So Quanah property for us was a tough acquisition. We've been talking and discussing and negotiating for more than 1 year on this thing. So it's been on and off. We announced something in the fall. It took a while to do what we wanted to do. There were 2 partners in that project. Now we own 100%, so we don't have to deal with anybody else. There was up to 4 royalties on the project. We were able to remove them with the court order. So we basically did a lot of cleanup around the project, and now we will take the preliminary economic assessment that was done in 2012, and we will shortly bring an update on that one without the royalties, and maybe some new ideas that we've put towards the project, it's going to make it a very attractive projects for private equity to come in and help us move it forward.
But I know that the junior mining companies have a lot of challenges, especially they need cash.
Yep.
So the fact that you already have a preliminary economic assessment on the Cronor project, why wouldn't you use this already done preliminary economic assessment to move it forward? Do you need to definitely do an update to move it forward?
Well, first of all, the rule of the 43101 is very clear. The fact that there was a preliminary economic assessment done by the predecessor is no longer valid with the new people that are doing an acquisition. Now, saying that, this report will be very easily brought to an update in a few weeks or months, not even maybe a month or two, because they don't have to redo the whole report. They just have to basically assess the situation, talk about what was changed. In this case, just the 4 royalties that were removed are an element of the PEA that is worth $13.5 million. So by removing that part of the equation, we know already the PEA is going to look much more attractive, and it was attractive to begin with, the one that was done in 2012. We also think that there's a revolution that's about to come in the market.
Explain to me that.
Well, basically, on the underground mining, over the last few years, the big fashion was all a big pit, open pit. We just have to pay truck drivers. We dynamite the whole thing. We truck load it to the mill, and we have huge mills. It was a big fashion over the last 5 years. We were able to discover a diamond in the rough, especially in the region of Val d'Or. There is a technology that I won't talk at this point, but basically that brings down the cost of mining in a project such as Quanah. It basically automizes the mining underground, and that would probably bring the mining costs much lower. That could make it a very competitive project, especially Quanah, because it's got a 9 gram a ton grade. So it's got high grade. We could mechanize some of the mining underground, using less people, having costs down, and would actually make us very competitive out there. So we're working on that as part of that PEA. We will ask to put a special chapter on that new technology so we can actually produce an ounce at much lower prices than anticipated.
Now, talking with because you came in October 2013, it was another government that was there, now there's the new government. We know that you guys, with all these recent acquisitions that you made, and I know the strategy that you guys, when you were acquiring a project, you were making sure that there was enough work done on the project, so when you had to renew the mining lease, you don't have to actually put a lot of work, so you actually had able to have a time frame that you could buy to actually not put some work to renew the mining lease.
Exactly.
So with the new government that's coming, have you seen some changes in the business environment? Have there been some project that you have to that you need to get rid of sooner than you expected?
Actually, I would say because of the acquisition that we made, we actually planned it very well. We were not facing any stress on that side, but basically the market or the industry and the mineral exploration company, we had a stress with the past government, but also the in-between. During the election, we had several discussions that were put on the ice, waiting for the election results, and they started again after April 7. So, you know, the markets don't like the uncertainty. They don't like ideas that it might be less interesting for them. So I would say it was a tough part of our last, of Monarques' history in the last year and a half. But it was also because of it that we made 13 acquisitions at decent prices. Something you would have never been able to do that. So sometimes you have the perfect storm. It sounds like it's terrible, but sometimes it's the best time to jump in.
All right. Now, talking of the partners, because you mentioned some partners here, are you still in talk with some partners? Like, what's the strategy to bring those Cronor project or the Simcar project further down the road?
I like to call them the mid-tier producer. We think that anybody that is currently doing between 50,000 and 200,000 ounces production a year, if they would like to come in and have a nice position with a nice project in Quebec, again, we bought 13 projects, and they're all sitting at different levels of exploitation, with the Quanah at the top of the list. So we know that if a strategic partner would come in and say, I would like a piece of the action. I'd like to come in. I think Monarques is a great vehicle, and I think it's a great opportunity for somebody to say, I want into Quebec now that everything is stabilized, the risk is gone, it's feeling better. We know Val d'Or and the Cadillac brake produced over 175 million ounces over the last 100 year.
Okay.
So we know there is gold. We know this is the place to be. There's no doubt in anybody's mind when they look at Canada that the best place to be is there in Val d'Or.
Okay.
So that's what we know by owning this project in Val d'Or. We know we're probably the best fit candidate to seek a partnership who has already a production and would like to bring it up to be more attractive to the bigger producer like the Gold Corp and the Agnico and all these guys that are looking at mid-tier producer to raise their production yearly.
But before you do that, are you doing it simultaneously? You mean talking to those partners and also making sure that your projects look good or look better?
Well, that's the goal in everything we do. I mean, that's what I did back in the days when I was the CEO of Golden Goose. Everybody asks now in Monarch, they say, are you going to produce or what are you going to do? You have to prepare everything towards production, and hopefully along the way somebody's going to come in and say, you know what, I like the way you're going. Is there a way we could sit down and do something? So we're ready to sit down with partners right now, but I'm also ready to pick up my briefcase and go out there and make sure we pull it off. Just like Osisko did it in 2004. Osisko is a great example. They did what we did in Quadal. We bought it in a bankruptcy court. They bought the Osisko deposit from a bankrupt company in 2004 for 80 grand. They just sold that for $4 billion. So you got to understand that there is a dynamic there. If you're smart and when things are bad, you're jumping in, you have a better chance of coming out when the sun comes out.
Okay, excellent. Now, talking of money, because you want to bring the project further down the road, I know recently you just made a $200,000 private placement. So how much cash do you have right now, and how do you expect your burn rate to be for the next 6 to 10 months?
We have about 750 grand in the bank right now. Our burn rate is about 50,000 a month. Also, but the burn rate of 50,000 a month means you sit there and you wait for the blue sky to come, and that's not my type. I like to be active. I like to be out there. So we have to be smart. The reason we did a 200 grand financing back in February is I own 7% of the company. Between 5 people, we own 55% of Monarch. We don't want to dilute ourselves. So right now it's tough time. It's not time to raise 5 million at the price that Monarch is. We need to develop the story, make it attractive, and when the price and the sun comes back out and the market is receptive, then we'll do maybe a bigger chunk to make sure we get the Quanah deposit in the right direction. So that's a bit where we stand right now.
So what's going to be the plans for the end of this year and the beginning of next year? For Monarch, the plans you're going to be working on.
Well, the plans is very clear during the summer. Talking with partners, we already are doing that. Getting ready for an update, introducing that new technology that we think that could make a change in the underground world in Val d'Or, and especially that the technology is developed within Val d'Or, so it will make people work, and it will make a technology that could be used around the globe.
Could you have some stake in that?
Well, it would be nice. I mean, ultimately, we'll see at the final line. But the purpose of it is to encourage local thinkers with good ideas, and we need to try these things because the next step in gold over the next 10, 20 years, it's not going to be a pretty picture. The grade is going down around the world. I mean, you have to be smart and you have to find other ways. I mean, the big pit deposit, they're very low grade. The Quanah deposit is a 9 gram a ton grade, which is something that if you take your time and you make a good strategy and you try new things, because if we do it the whole way, it's still very expensive to mine.
Okay. Now, technically speaking, and we have here that, as I said, Monarques Resources will be a buy at 12 cents 20, and the new entry point will be at 14 cents 49. So those are my technical entry point. But fundamentally speaking, for an investor who's looking at this interview right now, who has not been convinced yet, what would you tell him why Monarques Resources should be put in his next investment list?
Well, I would be very clear. I would say there's 3 reasons you want to get into Monarch. Monarch has a very tight float. Between 10 people, we control 80%. So we're like a small family. I'm a CEO with skin in the game. I have more than 3 billion shares, 7% of Monarch. When the stock goes down, I suffer. So that's a very good second reason. The third reason, I would say, we have a great portfolio of assets. So sooner or later, we'll diversify, we'll monetize some of these assets. But at the end of the day, these are the three main conditions that made my past success with Golden Goose a success.
Excellent. So I wish you all the good luck, Mr. Lacoste.
Thank you very much. It was nice to be here. I'll be happy to come back.
Excellent. We'll wait for that.